What can you do to preserve your culture? I, for one, preserve my culture by going to Chinese school every week and surrounding myself with friends and family that are Chinese. While at the same time, I'm able to communicate and live around non-Chinese people and still be able to effectively preserve my culture. Today, I'm going to talk to everyone about what culture and preserving culture mean, the problems and solutions of preserving culture, and what you can do, and some advice on preserving culture. Now, starting off, what is the definition of culture? Webster's dictionary lists multiple definitions for the word culture. The definition that most closely associates with this oratory is the customary beliefs, traits, and social forms of a racial, social, or religious group. Now, knowing that the concept of preserving culture can be almost anything. It could range from maintaining foods, to customs, or even languages. To me, preserving culture is to preserve all those things, but there is nothing wrong with a blending of other cultures around you. Take a look at the Native Americans back during the early 20th century. Back then, Native Americans were having their land taken over and were being forced onto reserves. As a result, Native American children had started to go to schools and were being forced into cultural assimilation, a process that then made them more Americanized. Although some were able to fit in, what did this really accomplish? According to sites such as nytimes.com and pbs.org, Native American children were forced to speak English instead of their native languages, forced to dress in a Western style of clothing instead of their traditional attire, and were being forced to leave behind other traditions and values in favor of those that were considered American. There is a problem with the kids who have an opportunity to preserve their culture yet don't take the chance to do so or aren't interested. I see something very unfortunate at the Chinese school that I attend. Many, not all, the students that go are not interested in going, and many are quite frustrated with their parents for making them attend such school. Many of my former classmates display similar feelings and opinions about going to Chinese school. The majority of my classmates nowadays have just quit going to Chinese school, going against their parents' wishes, or have graduated and want nothing to do with the school after they graduated. I admit even I had similar feelings about going to Chinese school when I was a kid and despised it and thought of it as nothing more than just a waste of time. There's also a problem with the kids who have an opportunity to preserve their culture. They don't take an opportunity or don't have a chance to do so. I have friends who live in cities such as Portland, Oregon, and Orlando, Florida, who want their kids to live around the Chinese community and go to a Chinese school, but don't have a chance to do so. Mrs. Jingjing, who used to live in the St. Louis area and later moved to Portland, Oregon, once said this to me: "It was nice for my kids to actually go and enjoy Chinese school while we still lived here. We'll never forget the incredible opportunity we had to learn Chinese there." Now, for my solutions to preserving culture. First of all, in the situation for my classmates and them quitting Chinese school, I think that the fault is not just theirs. Truth is, the parents and the children both should equal blame for the child quitting. The parents should have been more assertive and should have motivated their children more, while the children should have realized that Chinese school is more than just school, and it is a place where they can learn valuable life lessons and get to gather and unite with their fellow Chinese people. In order to do that, kids need to see Chinese school as being more than just a school. They need to see it as a place where they can learn valuable life lessons, and one day it can be of great use to them. And for the solutions for the kids who don't have an opportunity to preserve their culture, the solution is quite simple. One does not need to go to a Chinese school or such like that to preserve one's culture. Preserving culture can be just as simple as learning to speak a language in one's family or keeping traditions in your family. It only takes one person's will and motivation to preserve culture. If you have the will and motivation to do anything, then doing that task would seem way more easier and way more enjoyable in doing so. Now, I want to talk about some of my own personal experiences and some advice on preserving culture. Like I said earlier, I've been going to Chinese school for 11 years, with this year being my 12th. I can say that I've benefited quite a tremendous amount from going all these years. I've benefited in ways including developing better public speaking skills, developing bonds that are like family bonds, and learning the need to be selfless and altruistic. Starting off, the teachers at my school are always positive and always encourage us to participate in the yearly speech contest, not only to improve on our Chinese speaking skills, but to improve on our speaking skills in general. The atmosphere at my Chinese school, I can only describe it as being warm, homey, and peaceful. It's a feeling one has that they would have in their own home. Throughout the years, I've developed bonds with the people at school similar to ones that I would have with my family members. In a way, the people at Chinese school are a family to me. Although not blood related, we share a bond that is closer than blood. And lastly, our volunteer program. It's a program for high school students to go around and help do various tasks around the school. Throughout this program, I've learned to develop my teamwork skills and leadership skills by teaching Chinese to young children. One of the vice principals at my school, Mr. Yu Chunzeng, who I've known ever since I was a toddler, would say the same thing about Chinese school. It is natural that we would have a family feeling after all these years of going to school. Everyone needs to be aware of their own culture. With our volunteer program, we hope that kids can have an opportunity to help others as well as help them become successful adults. The process of preserving culture is not just a short process or an overnight process. The process of preserving culture could take years, decades, or even your whole lifetime to achieve. And one is never too old to start taking interest, to start preserving their culture. The student that I teach at Chinese school is a perfect example of this. Mr. Walter Lin was born a Chinese American just like me. Although he did have an opportunity to learn Chinese as a kid, he never really did develop a full and solid understanding of the language. Despite him being in his 40s and already having a family, he still feels the need to learn Chinese alongside his children, thus making Mr. Lin a perfect example of really learning Chinese even when starting a family. Mr. Lin has said this to me: although I didn't get the best chance to learn Chinese as a child, I still feel the need to learn Chinese alongside my children as well as have them have a chance and opportunity to do so as well. And to my last and most important piece of advice, everyone needs to take pride in their own culture and just accept themselves for who they are. I learned this lesson slowly throughout the years. I remember as a kid, I always complained about who I was. I always wondered why I couldn't speak English only, why I couldn't eat American foods only, and why I couldn't just stay home Sundays and relax and rest. Throughout the years, I've just learned more about my people and have learned to be more prideful about them. I've learned that my people have a 5,000-year history, how they have survived various trials and tribulations, and how they can still be able to exist peacefully to this day. With all this being said, it is important to preserve your culture while being able to blend in with other cultures around you. Preserving culture not only benefits you in life, but it can teach you a very valuable lesson about yourself. I hope everyone can be more grateful of the opportunities and chances in life and wholeheartedly get a chance to know who you truly are. Thank you.